Welcome to an episode of a Wicked Parley. I am your host, Justin, and my fellow co-host, Rose.
Hello.
Welcome and hello to everyone. All the silent viewers out there, all those ninja watchers. Oh my god, do we have an episode for you? An episode that's going to thrill and excite the soul. An episode that's going to be looking at what you, the viewers, actually want to hear. Questions that were sent in by our wonderful, adoring viewers, we're now going to respond to in hopefully the accurate and most correct way. And if it's not, at least it will be slightly entertaining. Because if it's not entertaining, well, we'll have no viewer. And that'll make me, less than happy. But I mean, hey, don't worry about it, because it's going to be fun.
Hey.
So, Rose, what do you got? What are you thinking? Wait, question-wise, are there any questions that you've seen that you're like, I'm worried about addressing?
I mean, a couple, but I'm gonna try my best.
Okay, she's gonna try her best, everyone. That sounds like a good thing. So,
try my best.
Before we get started into the questions, I just want to tell everybody that we're going to be having a really awesome episode on Saturday where we're going to be taking a look at some music and discussing some key points about music. So hopefully you guys tune in for that, and and if you haven't, subscribe to the channel. We always appreciate a good subscription. Throw comments or email us if you have any comments or questions about anything that we talk about today or in the future. And with that being said, let's get started with question one.
Got it. I forgot to get the drumstick.
It's okay.
Darn it. Just darn it. I have one job. I have one job.
Don't fail your job. Don't fail your job.
Anyway. If aliens exist and there is a massive government cover-up, why would there be a cover-up? Hi, host.
Hello and welcome, host. Why, if aliens exist, why is there a massive government cover-up? Well, I mean, clearly the government thinks that the people that they, oversee to some extent, are weak, feeble-minded fools who will run to the hills in terror and burn down their local convenience stores if aliens were proven to exist. I think the real reason might be a cover-up, if we're going to be actually straightforward, is that if let's say intelligent life traveled the vastness of space to get to Earth, this out-of-the-way little mud ball orbiting a pretty average star, in the outer rims of a pretty regular galaxy. All right, these aliens must have vastly, I would say more advanced technology than we do, and they by that very nature would be a military threat that could not be addressed. And so for safety concerns and not wanting to panic everyone by going, yeah, if aliens showed up, we couldn't do anything about it if they tried to rule us, it's kind of maybe better to not show your hand in that particular case. So I mean, that'd be my reason. What about you?
Okay, so as the whole running for the hills and destroying that, we do that on a regular basis anyway. It's nothing new.
That's called Tuesday.
It's just every Tuesday, which is sad. But if you want the joking answer, that's that. As for the cover up, you've obviously, depending on the group of people, would want to keep it quiet because there are obviously going to be some people that are absolutely terrified out of their minds.
Sure.
Potentially me. You've got people who are going to be so excited out of their minds. And then you've got people that would try everything in their power to exploit whatever the heck the aliens would have.
I mean, how would you exploit? Maybe I will offer you these group of people. Do not enslave me. Is that what's going on?
Potential.
Have my goat.
I mean, that's the potential, or it's just
I will make you shoes. I will make you shoes.
Obviously, there are some potentials, and then there are, of course, some people who would try their utmost to figure out the tech, use it for their own purposes, and it would depend on the person, whether that be for the benefit or the detriment of the world.
I see.
So, who knows? People got different reasons for different stuff.
Okay. Well, let's go on to the next question.
Boom, boom.
Let's try
We've
and
got a lot
rapid
of
fire
them for
a
this
few of them.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why did aliens just now decide to come to Earth, and why isn't there more evidence of aliens throughout history? Humanity is terrible.
Okay, so first of all, have you not looked around the Earth? I mean, there's like all sorts of alien crap everywhere. There's like pyramids and like all sorts of like Stonehenge and alien shit. No, in all seriousness, like if aliens did travel to Earth, all right, they probably came by. We're like, wow, they're still trying to kill each other. I guess we'll come back and see who won. Like, that's probably... Well,
every couple of years. Hey, are we coming back? Are you good yet? Nope, you're not good yet. Time
nope.
to turn around.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that if you were going to look for evidence of alien intervention throughout history, I think the thing that you need to look at is probably our genetics. Because biomarkers are probably the greatest evidence for alien manipulation, because it's the one thing that you couldn't really hide. It's kind of like a fingerprint. And so,
it's
like,
a fingerprint sometimes.
and so, and I think, and I could be mistaken, but I think there is some rather oddities in the human genome that could have, ties to some unearthly explanations, or they could be total freak coincidences. Who's to say?
I can't. I like hearing about it. I don't think I'd be able to do any research about it.
I see. I mean, also, there's like lots of stories, over the years, word of mouth. I mean, or paintings in Europe, of weird fireballs in the sky. And, this is like the 15th century. What the hell creates, thousands of fireballs in the sky? Well, if everyone had a mass hallucination, maybe that's an explanation. Or maybe there was some sort of weird cosmic event. Or there was a real alien battle that someone had witnessed and painted it. It's like, who's to say who's right? I'm just going to say that I like to see evidence with extraordinary claims, and so I'm definitely not one of those people that goes, I automatically assume if I can't explain it, it's aliens. I'm not that person. I'd like to be that person, but I'm not. Aliens.
That like that meme. Hey.
It's like, yeah. Anyways.
Why is the mouse doing this? Okay.
So, do you have anything else to say about that, or no? As you just pause, you're like, let me think. I just think of like a tumbleweed just blowing in a desert, or like just going right by.
Sometimes I feel like a tumbleweed. I just want to roll.
Oh, I want to be a tumbleweed. That'd be great. Tumbleweeds are awesome.
I'm gonna go off on this tangent about a one picture I found. Anyway, let's see, why did aliens just not decide to come to Earth? If they did, they chose a crappy time to do it. Dragons. Fireballs in the 15th century. Dragon.
See, no, hold on. You know what? Dragons? Dragons are an excellent example of aliens. See? More alien shit. Dragons.
Sorry, I'm just remembering this one Tumblr post from Humans Are Space Orcs series on YouTube.
I love that series. I'm so glad you showed me that series.
Yeah, but yeah, I wouldn't be able to really talk about that because it's like what you've said makes sense. And if they just now decided to come to Earth, they chose a really crappy time to do it.
Oh, I disagree. I don't think now is the worst time to come to Earth. I think about a year or two ago was the worst time to come to Earth.
Yeah, probably, but still, like, it was. Yeah. It
Space Force.
Why isn't there more evidence of aliens? I don't know. Cover-ups? Like in the last question, maybe?
Cover-ups? Really?
Maybe. Somebody might have.
You think so? You think some, like, Men in Black looking guys are just kind of showing up and, like, defibrillating or whatever the hell that thing's called?
Sometimes reality is stranger than fiction.
Sometimes it can be.
And then other times you expect it to be the other way around.
Yeah. Sometimes reality is more mundane.
Mm-hmm. Next one?
Sure.
Bump-ba-da-dump. Do you have a similar feeling about the supernatural, such as ghosts, demons, magic, etc.? And if not, why not?
Okay, alright, so I'm just going to say this now. Magic is just science that is so advanced, it's difficult to explain.
Ooh.
I don't know.
I do like the magic acts, though, because, like, that there are explanations as to how they do it, but, like, the presentation is great.
I mean, like, I'm gonna say demons. I don't know about that. Like, that just seems like in the same camp as angels, and I'm not willing to throw my bone on the internet in either direction for that. So, just know that that's where I stand. When it comes to ghosts, however, all right, I'm gonna be 1,000%. 1,000%. I've seen a ghost.
Oh my.
Oh yeah.
What?
Like legitimately, I saw
Oh, yeah?
something that was definitely ghost-like. They're not bullshit. Very difficult to explain. I don't know what it is exactly, other than the fact that it was a transparent, very, very weird-looking humanoid form that demonstrated some sort of cognition and also disappeared. And I will say that the saying about everything being super cold, 1,000% true. I was at I forgot the name of the fort, but it's underneath the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. And I swear to God, I saw what looked like half of a torso of a guy who was wearing what could only be like military uniform from like turn of the century. And oh my God, like it was just for a second, and then it just was like gone. Like he turned a corner, like as if I didn't even exist.
That's kind of terrifying.
It's almost like matter has like, I don't know. I have this like this idea that maybe matter has a memory, and that's what the ghosts are. They're not really. They're not like. They're like a space and time like memory. But then again, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense considering the Earth kind of travels throughout space, you know. And so technically, the space didn't. I don't know. It's weird. It's odd. Don't make me explain it. I'm not good at that.
Yeah. I remember, I don't have any personal experience with ghosts, but I do remember this one email that absolutely terrified me and threw me off of any type of like horror genre ever.
She's scared of horror movies, people.
Yeah, pretty much. Absolutely. Freaking terrified. Tiny little chicken over here. 5'2" large chicken.
Just cling on to it, just.
He's like, no.
And then claw you to death.
But yeah, it was essentially this picture of, it was just this email chain, but the picture was kind of terrifying. It was warning about this one wooded area. I can't remember. It was like a decade and a half ago. But a young adult was going around the forest, and they took a couple pictures. And while they were getting the pictures developed, the guy died a couple days later, apparently.
Oh God.
No known causes. He was perfectly healthy. Like, according to the report, absolutely healthy, but he just died. And then the pictures were developed. He was standing at the entrance to the woods, and floating in above the air was this stereotypical ghost-like figure, female, long, drooping hair, kind of hunched
terrifying.
over, and just staring directly at him and like diagonally about 5 feet above him in the air, just staring at him with blank eyes.
Oh, that's
and
terrifying.
That was a terrifying picture.
That reminds me of another story I heard about. It's a UFO story.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it's a case called I think it's called the Invisible Spaceman. So in the early 70s, like there were like this like really fashionable Polaroid kind of cameras, and they were a group. It was a family. It was in some place in Europe, and had decided to go to a pretty vacant area, very empty, no one around for miles, and they decided to take some family pictures together. Really bright sunny day, very clear grass, everything, very clear, right? And so the family is taking their pictures and everything like that, and they're all happy. And they go to get them, taken to wherever the Polaroid capture place was to get their pictures printed. And they get a strange phone call. And the phone call says, hey, I know your pictures came out, and there's this really strange image in the picture, and we wanted to know if this was intended. And so they go to the pictures, and they see what looks like a guy in a spacesuit holding on to their small child in the picture, and in the background in multiple shots. And the family's like beyond freaked out because they were the only family that was in that area, and it was miles around. And so the speculation was that they had gotten a picture of what was like secretly a UFO, like aliens like monitoring humans like covertly. But like for whatever reason, the picture was
we cannot see them, but the camera can.
Yeah. So like
that's terrifying.
Yeah. So maybe aliens are here. They're just watching us like a zoo.
They've somehow managed to avoid our eyes, but they cannot avoid the eyes of tech.
Yeah, but I think
that makes me kind of terrified to not take pictures anymore.
Yeah, like I want to take a picture everywhere I go, make sure there's nothing here. Backup camera. Here we go.
Here we go.
Everywhere. All right, so I think we got this question cooked. Are you good with it?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right.
Let's see. Host, Alien 1, the humans are trampling over each other for buttock wipes and microscopic pesticide. Alien 2, is it Black Friday? Alien 1, unfortunately no.
Okay, all right then. That's, yeah.
Ah, right, a long one.
Hmm.
What is the likelihood of adding religiousness to the DSM-5? I look at religion like it is a mental disorder or a bad coping mechanism. People use it to self-medicate other underlying issues.
I see. Well, in preparation for this particular question, I read my copy of the DSM-5. It's a thick book.
Yes.
And there's
God,
actually it's not a textbook. This is this is a tool that is used by therapists and other clinicians to help treat and diagnose mental illnesses. And there's a section, if you have the DSM-5, it's on page 707. Looks like this. And I'm just going to read from it because it's going to be inverted on the camera, so I'm sorry. However, it's essentially discussing the fact that there are other specific mental disorders that are due to other non-medical conditions. And there's a whole host of categories that they talk about, but I think that talking about like spiritualistic ideas and other religious practices probably could never fall into any one particular category because of what's talked about in this particular section. And it's kind of long, so if someone cares to email, I will happily take a picture of the chapter or explain that part of the chapter to someone. But yeah, I looked into it, and I just don't think there's any reason to have that really be added. Also, it's kind of important to note that the DSM-5 hasn't had a new edition in many years because a lot of people are starting to believe that the standard diagnostic manual and 5th edition is essentially too culturally conservative and doesn't actually speak to the very diverse set of symptoms that can exist. And so it kind of pigeonholes certain disorders to only a very specific set of symptoms. And those symptoms, in order to get treatment for your issues, have to be very, very specific to this. Otherwise, an insurance company will just basically deny you service. And that's not really fair. So it forces therapists or clinicians that know that this person has this to be dishonest to those particular institutions, which could get them in trouble. It also makes it kind of problematic when dealing with people from outside of Western culture, as of course the DSM-5 is written with the kind of Western viewpoint. So that really, I think, addresses that particular question completely, unless there's more you have to add.
I can't really say anything as for the DSM-5. As for the rest of it, I can see why somebody would think that. It's just a matter of how people treat it and use it and whatnot.
Certainly.
Especially since some people do use it as an escape, which is understandable, because it's like another getaway type of scenario where you can focus on something outside of your other daily tasks.
Yeah, I would agree with that particular thing being an escape, but I don't think it's a disorder to have practice spiritual beliefs or religious practices, and that's why I kind of feel the way I do about it.
Fair.
Because, I mean, yes, people, maybe they get out of a bad relationship, or maybe they're in a troubled marriage, and they want to seek some sort of, like, higher morals or values to help try and straighten them out. Maybe they seek religion for that purpose, or maybe there's a death in the family, It forces them to be more spiritual because they want to still feel connected to their lost relative. Is it really a disorder to want to have that connection? Because I kind of feel like that connection is underlying part of the human condition. And so if it is a disorder, then it's a disorder that we all have at some level.
Yeah, so that's why I was kind of looking at that middle question, essentially going, I can see it, but at the same time, I don't particularly agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, I'm not particularly religious either. I just accept that people are going to believe what they're going to believe in as long as, you don't force it on other people.
Yeah.
It's when you start forcing it on others that you're kind of on the extreme end of things.
Oh, that's when I have a problem with it.
Yeah, that's when I have a problem.
That's when I'm like, you have crossed the line, sir, or ma'am, or it thing, she hit me, and or green monster, jelly monster particularly.
So yeah, that's the extent of what I've got to say about this one.
Okay.
Alright. Bonk. Get bonked.
Alright.
So many sound effects from my mouth that I cannot recreate.
It's okay. Bum ba ba bum ba.
Bum ba da ba ba. Alright. What constitutes a healthy relationship? We saw a ton of unhealthy ones in a previous talk last episode. What does a healthy relationship look like?
Okay. First of all, Rose, do you want me to give the full explanation, or would you like to take a stab at it and then I'll just go through mine?
For me, I can go first because I've got two kind of basic foundations in my point of view. So you've probably got more info than me about this one.
Perhaps.
I think. Yeah, so for healthy relationships, I just think the two main basis ones are basic ones. English, I only speak it all the dang time here.
Indeed you do.
For me, it's about good communication and kind of caring for the other's well-being.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it might potentially contradict what you want in a minor case. Like, for some cases, such as, it's trying to make not only, if you truly, let me actually word this correctly.
It's okay.
Dun da da dun da da da. If only we could have access to the Jeopardy music.
Oh, I can make it for you.
I think if you truly like somebody, you'll just essentially want them to be happy, no matter what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
If you can of course prefer to include you,
Mm-hmm.
that's nothing new. It's just, if you truly like them, in my opinion, you'll just want them to be happy no matter what that looks like. Again, because it may include you, it may not. That's just what I feel for the two main basics of a healthy relationship. Of course, there are more aspects, but for the most part, if you don't have those two, I don't see it as ending happily, but it might just be my opinion.
I mean, I think that you're speaking to two very important points, but I think that my viewpoint is quite a bit different
Okay.
in when it comes to constituting a healthy relationship. Now, if you're talking about an infatuation, hi Kyle, welcome to the show. If you're talking about a particular relationship in its actual functioning, like
Okay.
components of it, I think there's a lot of big difference. What
Okay.
you're talking about, in my particular opinion, is like, let's say, like if you love someone, right?
Okay.
And regardless if that person loves you back or not, you always want what's best for that person. That to me is an example. Often this is like friends. This is like maybe family members fit in this particular category. But I think relationships, there are a lot when it comes to like what we were discussing in the previous episode. When it comes to particularly like intimate relationships.
Okay.
And I should preface this by saying I am speaking about heterosexual relationships between a man and a woman. I am not referring to anything else because I do not have context for it. I only have books and friends, and so I don't think it's as reliable as as my own personal experience when it comes to the direct relationship things.
Okay.
So
Well, at least you told us so.
yeah, I just want to make sure I say that first before I say anything else.
Yeah.
So what I think the very first thing that goes into it, above all else, is honesty. You cannot have a relationship built upon false anything, all right? You need to be 100% transparent because you need to be able to have trust later in life. And if you aren't transparent and honest with every intention you have and do and conduct yourself in, moving forward in any relationship, your relationship begins to build cracks and can falter and can lead to the destruction of the relationship down the road. The second most important thing was mentioned already by Rose. She mentioned communication. I think having clear lines of communication between the two individuals about what you want, what your goals are, and when problems arise, how to handle them. The last thing on earth you want is to have the situation where a problem creeps up and one person's like, let's talk about it, and the other person's like, I want to fucking leave the room. Like, no. That's not.
It's like there's one difference, I think, between. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, go for it.
I think there's one difference between leaving the room to gather your thoughts and coming back to it later versus leaving the room because you don't want to deal with it.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, that's a really excellent point. Yeah. I'm referring to the person having avoidant behavior, not wanting to address the problems constantly, and the other person constantly wanting to address it. Or it could be two people having complete avoidant behaviors. When issues arise, they need to be discussed. When good things happen, they need to be discussed. I think another positive element of any relationship has to do with having joy for the little things. Like, sometimes, if a person is with a person for a long period of time, people get comfortable. There's a point where they're like, yeah, I'm not really like, I don't have to work as hard. You get what they call relationship gut for guys. Maybe they get a little lazy, kind of things like that. All right, some of the nice things go away, and you're like, all right, I'm slacking here. But in a healthy relationship, I think those slacking doesn't go to an extreme. And I think that you do small little gestures every now and then. Get little reminders, little hints about how you might feel, little tokens of appreciation if that's something that your partner is, caring about. And I mean, I think at the end of the day, making that person feel special, noticed, heard, incredibly important things. You do not want to do other things that make that person feel less than they are. And also, it's important not to put a person on a pedestal either. Relationships are a balancing act. All right. I think the best relationships, if I'm just going to say like a bullet point list of things, it would look like this: honest, loyal, hardworking, being able to clearly communicate what you want, having clear goals, and being able to be relatable to one another. You don't have to be the same. In fact, there's that whole idea that opposites attract. I don't think that's true. I think that people attract people. I don't think it matters if you're opposites or if you're the same. What I do think what matters is that you have the ability to be cognizant of what your partner feels and have the compassion and consideration to make sure that they are well off and at the very least always doing as good as possible within your means. It's not like, oh, you're going to stop work to go help sort out an emotional problem. But when you get off work, when you hear about what's going on, you sit down and talk to them and hear them. You don't fix their problem. You have them feel heard. And if they decide to ask for your help with the problem, then you interject and do something about it, not before. So that's something that I think makes up a good relationship. I could be wrong about this, but I have seen many people discuss relationships. I have been in many relationships. I've seen what works and what doesn't work. And I can say that what I'm saying pretty much is the hallmarks of all the good points. The moment you start faltering from those particular basic roads, the whole relationship kind of falls apart real fast.
Yeah, that all makes sense to me. I haven't heard anything wrong about it. Could be just my opinion.
Let me reread Host's little comment real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Host says, if you love something, let it go. This kind of fits for this question. People grow and change over time. Sometimes they need to leave, and sometimes the best thing to do is support them. Okay, I'm going to say this now, Host. I love the sentiment. I really do. I love the point of view of this particular thing, but I think that's not really accurate.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think the thing about it is this, right? It's not letting something go that goes on that's important. It's understanding that a person's ability to want something else is just as important as your love for them, and being able to find a way for them to cooperate. That's what the real goal is. Letting something go isn't loving it anymore. it's your burden that's tied to that is now gone. It's not that the love that was, the time that was invested, the emotional parts of that particular relationship are gone. They're still very much there. You've just let go of that. And so whether that's healthy or not, I'm not going to say, but I will say this. It is, that particular notation is something that was popularized in the early 2000s. It was put forth by a feministic agenda that wanted to allow this liberation of women, and it's been propagated throughout social media and in books and in just movies, TV shows, everything, like, for a while. And I find it's not really true, because when you see love in real action, all right, you see like a old married couple, they never let it go, because they understand that love is realistically, like, it's an emotion that you feel that fades away, and that if you want to keep that love back or hold it into place, it's something that you have to work at day in, day out, all the time. And it's often, I mean, my particular opinion is, at least, is that love isn't even something that starts right away. It's like one person has a strong emotion, then another person has no emotion or some emotion, and then that starts to flitter, and then it kind of like eventually ignites till there's two fires. And then then the goal is to keep both those fires going. All right. What it sounds like to me is somebody who is love scorned. If I'm going to be honest, when it comes to that particular thing, it's someone whom loves, but the other does not.
and then the spark never ignited for that second fire.
Yeah, well, I think that when it comes to the spark, it depends. I mean, like, I think that, like, there's like the spark between, let's say a teenager who falls in love with an actress or supermodel. That's never going to happen. Or if it does happen, it's like 0.00001% of the time.
Very low probability.
Yeah.
Unless you get very, very lucky.
Yeah. But I think that, like, if you find, let's say, like, a coworker or a friend or a schoolmate, and you're like, this person isn't into me, or maybe I'm not into this person, but then the person is just like there for you, and like you start to find like, oh, I like this person, oh, and then like it slowly starts to build into eventually to a mutual attraction. Eventually, then it kind of takes on its own thing, and that's kind of how relationships work. At least traditionally, that's kind of how things went. And there were different social cues that kind of made it easier for that to happen that are no longer in place because of reasons that I don't have time to explain. But yeah, I hope that I didn't go too far off on a tangent there. But
I think it'll be fun, and if people want more info, feel free to clarify.
If you want to hear more about this, send us an email, and I will be happy to look it over, and if we think it's good enough, we might even make it into a whole episode. So, who knows? But for the time being, we're going to leave it here. Thank you for that comment.
Gosh.
And hiccups.
Yeah.
Okay, I went for like went for this question. You go for it. Read it out.
Okay.
You got it.
What is your favorite fictional trope? One of my favorites is the rivals trope.
Okay.
Because it's just two people that are just okay. I think I might be thinking of a specific one, but it's where two people are constantly rivaling against one another, and they're always fighting with each other, but they actually become friends later on, even if they're still sassy mother truckers. Like, that has got to be one of my favorites.
I'm thinking of My Hero Academia and like Baka and Tess and like Yu Yu Hakusho and like Yu-Gi-Oh, particularly Seto Kaiba.
Yeah, it's funny, and then this one kind of leads into the runner-up, if you don't mind me saying the runner-up.
Nah, go for it.
I think my runner-up for this is kind of where, you've got some antagonist or bad guy not completely turning to the good side because it's like that's.
Oh, you're gonna take mine.
Yeah, oh, okay. Hold on. You say yours.
No. Just go for it. Go for it.
Bear.
No, what the fuck?
You go.
No.
I did my first one. You do your first one, and then we can go.
No. Just finish your thought.
No.
Finish your thought. Finish your thought.
Fine. It's when the enemies is like actually has a moral compass, but they're still sassy mother truckers.
Like Vegeta.
It's just interesting watching the dynamic because it's just like they've got the look of I hate you, but at the same time I don't want you dead.
Yeah. Yeah, my favorite fictional trope is definitely the anti-hero, the villain who turns into a hero, the Vegeta, I call him Lord Fajita.
Fajita?
Fajita, the Prince of all sins. You imagine that'd be hilarious. Anyways, or like
Somebody's
a
probably made an AU just for funs and giggles. It's called crack fix for a reason.
Oh yeah, we gotta totally do that actually. Yeah, and then I would say my secondary, since you did a secondary one, is probably like the comical fool in a romantic comedy. The one that's typically surrounded by a harem of women, and he just accidentally, oopsie-daisy, falls into like some sort of lewd like circumstance with a whole bunch of different girls. It's like, yeah, like that ever really happens.
Oh, that happens. It's just the person actually gets slapped.
Yeah, see, I mean, like, okay, yeah, you're probably right about that.
It's the first part that happens, not the rest.
It's still fictional, it still matters, it's still a point to me.
Yep, it's still a point. Alright, next one, huh? Yeah?
Yeah, sorry, yeah, go next one.
Alright. Oh. Why are random people such dicks in multiplayer video games?
Because too many people play Destiny, that's the reason. No.
Not even like it. I've seen so many videos about people being dicks in like just Super Mario Maker.
Oh my God. Honestly, you know what I think it really is? If I'm being 1,000%, not like joking, actually serious. I think anonymity like creates this whole like notion of I can get away with anything, and I think that everyone is very polite in person, and so I think people wanting to do something that's different than what they normally present themselves is the thing that they like to do the most when there's no consequences or the perception of no consequences. And so I think that's why people tend to be dicks in video games. Particularly during multiplayer games.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that. The anonymity definitely helps with people just saying, hey, F it, I don't care.
See, I said a big word. I said a big word. Yeah.
But yeah, that just reminds me, it's not even just in video games too, but social medias in general.
Oh, 100%.
Like, I remember this one Tumblr post commenting very sassily. I can't remember the exact quote because it was a long time ago. It was essentially, humanity was a lot better when you couldn't say whatever the heck you wanted anonymously in 140 characters or less.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think before Twitter, at least there was the idea, the semblance of civil in public. Now it's just like,
nope.
No, it's like we've gone full 4chan, but like on like the global stage.
It's the reason why when they're wholesome comments that everybody's shocked. And it's sad.
Yeah, it shouldn't be shocking. It should just be like, like...
Like, I love a good sabotage, but only with my friends, because they can deal with my nonsense.
That's for sure.
Next one?
Sure.
Okay. What is your favorite real-life trope?
Okay, alright. I'm gonna be strange.
Okay.
But my favorite real-life trope is me. The bumbling idiot. I am a real-life bumbling idiot. I seem smart on here. I seem well-educated. If someone could argue, perhaps I am. But on most days, I have a hard time tying my shoes.
You know what? People gotta have their silly, idiotic, stupid moments sometimes. You can't be intelligent all the time. That's kind of boring.
Yeah, that's true. But here's a question for you. Just show you like intelligence, right?
Okay.
Once I was looking to how to turn on the light, only to find out the light was already on.
Don't get me started on those texts where it's like, "Hey, help me! I can't find my phone. You're texting me from your number."
Or so you think. Maybe it was on a laptop.
Yeah, that too. So it's like nowadays, it's like that one actually might have a reason, but it's just like, wait, where are you texting me from? Oh, my frick. As for my favorite real life trope, it's gotta. I think one of the ones I like seeing on like YouTube videos and stuff are those big tough guy people, whether it be man or woman or somebody you don't want to mess around with, like in any sense of the word. Sure. And they adopt the tiniest baby puppy or kitten, like tiny, like palm-sized tiny.
Odin.
Odin's a fat cat.
No. He's not a fat cat. He is the fat cat. But he's also tiny compared to me.
A lot of things are. Including me.
Yes, that's true.
But yeah, it's just like, you've got the big buff guy who could bench press you, and then you've got the tiny little bitty one who's just using them as a playground. He's so cute. He's adorable.
Indeed. So my favorite other real life trope as a secondary thing, just this slight secondary thing, is once again me and my blonde moments. Almost like there's a blonde moment right now. Okay.
At the moment, I can't think of a secondary one, so if people are interested, just email. We got a lot of questions.
Yeah, we have so many questions.
Alright, next one. If you could have any superpower, what would it be and why?
Okay, alright, I'm going to say this right now. I have the best superpower of all time. All time. And yes, I'm borrowing it from Dragon Ball. Instant transmission. The best power. Do you need to do dry cleaning? Nope. Instant transmission. Do you need to have an important business meeting? Nope. Instant transmission. Do you want to be in the arms of the woman you care about at all times? Instant transmission. I would get a t-shirt that says, I have instant transmission, 1,000%.
Interesting.
Never miss a day.
For me, how OP are we capping it at, if at all?
Like, I'll say short of living forever.
Okay.
You can't be like godlike. Like, if we're gonna be like godlike, then I'm like, yeah, of course. Godlike is where we're going, because it's everything.
Yeah. If I had to choose, if I had to put a capper on it, I'd like to be able to just think of what it, like, be, kind of like creation in a sense. Like, I could think of it and it could be a thing, but if I had to cap it, it'd be something like maybe the size of a textbook, kind of like this one, what's that one anime? Bungo Stray Dogs. Kunikita had the ability to create kind of whatever he wanted as long as it fit into a sketchbook.
So let me get this straight. You just want to never have to buy shit again.
You're
like, I just want to create my own shampoo. I just want to create my own hand soap. I want to create my own car keys. I want to create, like...
I mean, that's an option, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people would do, but I'm thinking, like, there's some things that I just want to create that just don't exist.
Okay, like, what the heck does... What would you want to create that doesn't exist?
Honestly, a bunch of fictional, like, items.
Okay. Elaborate for me.
One of the more common ones would probably be these elaborate looking flowers that just don't exist in real life and probably are really...
So you mean like a living plant that's just bizarre looking?
Yeah. That's honestly what I'd love to use it for. Just create like whatever type of flower I'd want, whatever color, whatever shape,
So poison ivy. You want to be poison ivy?
Sure.
Okay.
But that'd be mine.
Okay, well, you know, Batman.
Alright, you got the Batarang or something? I know you have it, but we're like, where is it?
We're Superman today.
Thunk. Okay, so this one I have no clue.
Boom, 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 boom.
There was a bit more, but I wasn't able to translate it.
Okay.
So I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'm just gonna say this now. Whoever sent this in, I know who you are. No. I know where you sleep now. Oracles sing their song in Vogue. this was probably the order of the spawning of the oracles in Destiny 1. However, in Destiny 2, the oracles now spawn randomly and have to be killed in the order in which they spawn, which let me tell you right now, boy is it fun when there's like 2 people in your raiding party that have never done the raid before.
Oh no.
When people have done it, it's not a problem, but like when you have new people, oh my god, like so much time gets wasted on. Oh, I'm 3? Boom! I guess we all go get cleansed or we all wipe. It's like, no. But yeah, no, yeah, so that's what that is.
Okay, so that's...
And that's
okay.
not a question, by the way, I just would point that out.
I granted, we did say send in your questions or even statements.
I'm gonna say that's not a statement either. A statement has to have a point.
I mean, are you
Oracle
talking statement or
singers.
sentence?
A statement requires to have a point.
Oh.
Yeah, there has to be a reason for it. It can't be like, I like turkey. Actually, no, that's actually still a statement because it's actually convincing. No, what? No, you know what it is? Turkey green. Not a statement.
Turkey green?
Yeah, it's just
That's
2
not
words.
even a sentence.
It's not even a sentence. Exactly, it's nothing.
Yeah,
this
but
is nothing.
This one's particularly a sentence, without the cipher.
Okay, alright, seriously? Like, oh my god.
Yes, I can argue with this.
Let's not do that right now. So many questions.
VOG stream win, 2nd attempt. Oh, the Volta class.
Okay, tell you what. If this is really a thing, this is the 2nd time it's been asked. Okay, if this is really a thing, here's what it's going to require. It's going to require 4 people that actually want to watch me play this game. And I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll even get
4
Rose.
people.
I'll even
1,
get
2, 3, 4.
I'll even get Rose to do it.
Oh god.
Yeah. So I will hard carry her through the vault of glass. I've already cleared the vault of glass like well over a dozen times, but I'll do it if you can get 4 people to watch the stream.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, it's gotta be
I
worth
can
my
count.
time. And here's the thing too. Here's the other thing too. 2 of the 4 people have to be subscribed to the channel that aren't already subscribed.
Okay, so you want to get 4 people total, but 2 of them have to be new.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
If you get more, great. But that's my condition. Because it's going to require an actual, like, serious effort to actually get that to go, which sounds ridiculous, but trust me, it actually is a thing. And if I'm going to go through the effort, I want there to be a reward. I'm all about rewards.
Reward system.
So.
Before I go off on my rant here.
Yeah!
Right, I forgot. This one wasn't.
So now you know how to get Rose to play Destiny. That's how. And believe me, I showed her the other day, and she was not thrilled with the game. Not thrilled.
Like, if people want me to play it, I'll play it. It's just not my cup of tea, so you'll get to see me being a bumbling idiot.
Hey, don't worry. I'll be there with you.
Carry me.
Bumbling. No, we'll be bumbling idiots together, and I'll trip over my sword and kill the boss. It's fine.
Oh my god. That's a funny thing to watch in fiction too.
Oops, I accidentally killed you. I'm so sorry. Let me just pick up your head. Oh god. Your shoulder. Hand.
Dude, when PvP is on in games, oh my god.
Yeah, it's gonna be rage-tastic.
Favorite dessert, go.
Madeline. Dipped in
Madeline?
chocolate.
Yeah. I like madeleines, but if people don't consider that a dessert, I'd have to go with ice cream, and particularly either chocolate ice cream, fudge bars, or Melonas.
Oh my god. Melonas. I stole your thing, by the way. I stole it.
Oh, the dessert thing?
That's
yeah, you
freaking
did.
taking Vegeta!
I didn't mean to take them, okay? I told you to try it.
Dare you take my bad man shirt?
Huh?
Don't worry about it. It's nothing.
Okay,
Let
then.
it go. Let it go. Shh, shh,
Let
shh,
it go.
shh, child,
Let it
child,
go.
child, shh.
Meow.
Let it go.
Not a child.
That's true.
I'm a
she's
kitten.
not. Well, I wouldn't call it that, but alright.
What is the difference between your thoughts on digression in social media versus real life encounters? You know, besides one being overly exaggerated sometimes.
Yeah, I'm gonna offend people with this.
Oh, I'm fully expecting that.
So, should you go first or me? Like, what's better?
you go and we'll give the crowd some time to like
to just
cool
fester
down
and
to
just
the
get
next
angry.
question.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
huh?
All right. Yeah, I got you. Oh God. Okay. So here's the deal. All
You
right.
got this. I believe in you.
I'm trying to be respectful. I'm trying to be respectful of this.
You got this.
Okay. So, social media, like, if you have Facebook friends and you have like people online that you've never met, or you only meet like once a year, they're not your friends. They're acquaintances. I think that friendships are with people you see on a regular basis, and I think that that's pretty much the reason why I have a huge issue when it comes to my thoughts about the differences, because people are so quick to call people who are friends on social media their friends, and they equate those particular relationships with their real life friendships, and I think that is kind of disrespectful to their real life friendships, because those people actually put time regularly into their day to interact with this particular person and maybe treat them respectfully and be considerate of them and want to interact with them in some way, versus these people whom are your sort of friends, who if you post something, maybe they post something right back, but more often than not they like will see it, and maybe in a couple hours they'll give you a like, like it's not the same. And I think that there are exceptions. I'm not going to say this is an absolute thing, because I think that there are exceptions, but I think that for the most part, I think that that's the thing that distinguishes these particular two different things, because I don't think, all right, for our guys out there, you can fuck your computer. All right, I'm just gonna be honest. All right, that's where guys' relationships typically go. That's the goal for most guys, not all. My playing for the same team situation, guys out there, clear. Actually, I don't even know. Maybe it is. I mean, I have no idea. But what I will say is this: that is not the outcome you get from social media. However, since social media, women can get all the validation they want. I mean, tons of validation. I mean, we're talking like, this person thinks I'm cute, this person wants to say hi, this person cares about me, this person's my friend. Oh my God, is that a huge problem for like inflated egos and like a complete departure, or for like, I guess, like the way in which the rest of the world is perceived from this person's perspective compared to others. And that is a huge issue. So to me, yes, this is the difference between these two different things. And I think that online friends, unless you meet them in real life on a regular basis, and a regular basis can be loosely defined, but like definitely more than once a year, all right, they're not really your friends more often than not. And yeah. So
Okay.
hopefully I didn't offend anyone. That was not my goal. My goal was to keep it contained. I could go on more about this, but I don't want to.
I know you can.
Water bottles are delicious.
God, not this again. Anyway, I could see why you think those things, especially since a lot of them are because people put up a front when they're on with their online personas. That's why it's an online persona.
Yep.
I know that happens to a lot of people, especially for. There's a reason why a decade and a half ago there were always this warning of careful who you meet online. They might not be who they say they are type of scenario. I know one of my friendships is one of the exceptions to the rule. It, by all intents and purposes, should not have happened the way it did, but it did, and I've got one of my best friends today. Other people would have absolutely said, don't talk to this person, don't even trust anything they say, which is understandable. Some people can be absolute creeps online because of the anonymity it sometimes provides.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can definitely agree that the friendships online versus real life friendships, there is definitely a difference, not only because of the time and effort put into the thing. It's just a matter of also, when you do meet online, you may still have some facades, some fronts, but it's not as apparent as when you're able to completely choose what you put out on social media. You don't have to show your bad side. You can purely show the quote good side of you on social media and hope to God that nobody ever sees the bad, but that's kind of hard to do in real life encounters, especially if it's more often that you meet up, because it's like you can try to keep up a facade, it's gonna crack eventually.
I mean, honestly, your point you're making right here is the exact reason why I prefer phone calls over text messages any day of the week. Because, like, to me personally, if you talk to me in real life, right?
Mm-hmm.
The way you see me here is exactly how I would handle any situation if you approach me. This isn't fake. And my God, if it was fake, I mean, like, what a low bar I've set for myself. But in all seriousness, though, like, I prefer a phone call or, like, this kind of format where you can see me, because it's a lot harder to hide shit, all right? Like, you know, I mean, I could probably sound the most sophisticated person you've ever seen if I were to, like,
retail worker.
Excuse me?
No, the whole, like, you can be the most civil person, and it's just like, that's what you gotta do for retail, and gosh, it's tiring.
Yeah, I mean, I can appear one way for a little bit of time, and I can definitely, on paper, look very different than I am now. But it isn't the real me, and so that's the reason why I choose, whenever possible, not to be like that. Because I think it's dishonest, and I think at the end of the day, people figure it out. I mean, it's eventually going to get found out, so it's like, why waste my time doing something like that? It's just stupid.
Yeah, I just kind of let it happen, to be honest.
I'm just going to let it happen.
Whatever I put out onto the internet or anything like that, internet, phone call, text message, I just go with it if it gets out and it turns out to be offensive, I'm going to deal with it otherwise, but right now I just don't care.
Okay.
Like, I'll deal with it after. I don't want to deal with it now.
Fair enough.
Anyway, it's dang. All right, no. Okay. How does depression resolve itself?
Okay, this is a convoluted answer, potentially, but I'm going to give a kind of like a shorter version of it. Depression obviously takes many forms. So depending upon what is the reason for the depression in the first place, it has many different outcomes. Sometimes depression doesn't actually resolve. It's something you'll have to learn to live with. But in some cases, depression does eventually, resolve itself in the sense that the things that make you depressed, you think about less. And so it kind of fades into the background of what's going on in your life, and eventually it fades so far that you're not even aware of it anymore. Depending upon the circumstance. Now, I'm not going to say that it applies to everything, but it does apply to some. I mean, as a person who has been depressed before, and I was depressed about a relationship, it took another relationship for me not to be depressed about it anymore, because I just stopped thinking about that and it just went away. So that was what happened to me. Not sure if that's how it happens to everybody, but that's just one example of one form of depression and one way it can resolve.
Yeah, definitely agree.
Oh, I was just saying, do you have any thoughts on it?
I definitely agree that depending on what's causing the depression is what will determine whether or not it can, quote, resolve itself versus just being put to the background after kind of dealing with it. And obviously, because of that fact, each case of depression is going to take a different amount of times because of what's causing it, what your life experience has been because of it, or before it, or even during it. So it's a case-by-case scenario. So there's no real true way to resolve itself because of how many things can cause it. So no definitive answer. It's just a
case by case.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's honestly what it is.
Yeah, and if anyone has any more questions about this particular thing, once again, email the show. We can maybe, talk it out with you, and also, maybe you can clarify what kind of depression you're talking about when you're asking how depression might resolve itself. So maybe we can get some clarification in the future.
All right, moving on. Which is the best Star Wars film? I'm gonna go out and say it right now. Don't say it.
Don't
No,
say.
I can't choose one.
Okay, all right. Yeah, thank God.
I've never watched one.
No. That's changing soon. Everyone, don't kill her.
Hey.
Don't kill her. Do not crucify her. Do not end our channel because of this.
Okay, then.
Okay. So, I mean, I think everyone knows that Empire is a masterpiece and is the best Star Wars film of all time.
You got loud.
Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You almost killed the channel.
Okay.
I'm joking. I'm so silly. Being silly. No, honestly, yeah, I think Empire Strikes Back is probably the best Star Wars film because I think it's the most poetic, I think it's the most elegant, and I think it's the most complete story. It clearly shows the transitioning and evolution of all the characters in the film, and in my particular opinion, it is an absolute masterpiece that has no flaws. It's one of the few films I've ever seen that has no flaws, in my opinion.
Okay.
And you will soon share that opinion because I'm going to show you the Star Wars films.
Maybe.
What do you mean, maybe?
Maybe. It's an opinion. I don't have to share it.
Okay. Agree to disagree.
Yeah, exactly. Alright. Okay. Right.
Okay.
How many days, months, or years are we supposed to be happy, or is it just supposed to be something we feel every now and again?
Okay. So, this is a hard one to say. There is a lot to unpack with this particular question, so I want to give it justice. So, would you mind taking this your thoughts on it first, and then
Sure.
I will give my complete thoughts after.
Yeah, sure. So, for me, there's no real specific amount that you're supposed to be happy, mainly because it'd be kind of hard to reach that sometimes reach that quota or surpass that quota, depending on your experience throughout the year. Like, last year was freaking terrible, for one. So for a lot of people, it would have been extremely difficult for people to remain happy last year with the quarantine, the demonetization virus, all the events that were happening throughout the world. It can be very hard to be happy throughout such times because of the difficulty and how it impacts your life and those around you. So it's not really that you're supposed to be happy for a certain amount of the year. I believe it is something that you feel every now and again, because you can't just be also 100% happy. That's kind of not possible, because if you are 100% happy, you're not truly happy because you don't have anything to compare it to, as we've mentioned in previous live streams. If you're going to be happy, you've got to have the opposite too, to be able to actually differentiate between the two. You can't just be in one constant state. So for me, being happy is just something that happens. You can sometimes encourage yourself to be happy by doing something you love, hanging out with the people you enjoy being with, whether that be friends, family, partners, significant others, It's an emotional state and your emotional state is always changing depending on your circumstances. So if you're having a terrible time, you're not going to be happy, and that's fine. It's just, don't stay in that terrible time. Try to figure out some way to be happy, because it'll make you feel better and whatnot. I don't know if any of that made any sense.
No, don't backpedal. It was well said, and I think you're on the right point when it comes to a lot of the things you said.
Okay.
So I think good job.
It's like, I'm not backpedaling. I just don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah, well, backpedaling in the sense that I don't want you to detract from what your statement, because I think that you were spot on.
But that's my take on it.
I think,
do you want me to go ahead and read the comment while you think? Or?
No, I got it.
Okay.
I got what I want to say. Happiness is a tricky emotion because it's something that in our culture, it's propagated as that is the ideal state of being. You're always striving to try and be happy. And so if you compare happiness with the values that are set in your society, and you find yourself lacking the happiness that you think you should have based upon that metric, then I think that it shows that there's a flaw in society's measurement of happiness. Because to me, happiness is something that it comes and goes with the circumstance and situation that you find yourself in. If you find yourself lacking happiness, then you can do things to change your circumstance, your situation, and so you can put yourself in situations that allow you to be happy or give you the ability to be happy more often. Like such as what Rose had mentioned before about being with a partner, being with a significant other, doing sort of acts and things like that, all generate happiness. But another thing to keep into consideration is that happiness isn't something that's valuable if there is nothing to compare it to. If you're constantly happy, then you're not happy at all. You need misery, you need hardship to be able to define happiness. Otherwise, you have no metric to base your feelings off of. And I think that's something that's critical. It's something that I'm really appreciative that Rose mentioned, because it's very important. However, happiness itself is not important to any one person's need to survive, but it is helpful for a person's psyche to have a healthy life. So I would encourage you that if you feel that you are not happy, that you find things that make you happy. And if something that makes you happy is communicating with other people, or maybe it's being alone, to find the things that do that facilitate that desire, and don't feel bad about wanting to do those things, because those things aren't something to be ashamed about. You're just being honest. So, well, let's read Kyle's comment, please.
Yeah. Kyle, I would say there is happiness in the soul, overall well-being, feeling happy, and experiencing positive emotions. We know that there is a 3-to-1 positive-negative ratio, but not much more specific. My voice is cracking.
The 3-to-1 positive ratio is specific to certain cultures. It's not uniform.
It's not a standard thing?
No, I actually am familiar with this, and there was a whole bunch of things that were done globally when they were trying to test happiness, because starting in the early 2000s and even now, there's this huge push in the psychological field to have what they call positive psychology. And so their happiness is a very critical component to that particular message. And they did a whole bunch of tests to value the number of emotions that a person feels and a set of situations to see which way someone might lean emotionally. And that's where that positive negative ratio comes into play. But in certain cultures, the ratio is completely different. And it has to do with what those cultures value. So, But yeah, I mean, in Western culture, that's pretty accurate.
Okay.
And at least in the West.
Next question?
Okay.
Let's go. Bonk. Where is the fanciest hotel that you've ever spent the night? South Korea.
Okay.
I wouldn't be able to tell you the name because I can't pronounce half of that. But the nicest hotel I've ever spent the night in was when I was in a tour with my family in like South Korea or Taiwan, and I'm pretty sure it was one of the ones in South Korea.
Okay.
What about you?
I've spent a lot of nights in hotels.
Fanciest one.
The fanciest one. Fanciest one. I think the Marriott in San Jose. We were in
Marriott's pretty good.
Yeah, we were in one of their luxury suites.
Ooh.
It was roughly one of those higher ones. And I remember first of all, the difference between a hotel room and a luxury hotel room, instantaneous.
Oh, yeah.
First of all, much larger. Okay.
Ooh.
They had bathrobes, much as you might see in any hotel, but they were scented with bubble gum and springtime. And I'm like,
Ooh.
You might ask yourself, what does springtime smell like? And it's like, you ever smelled like honeysuckles and roses?
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like that.
Like a flower field?
Yeah. And it was wonderful. And that might have been the gayest thing I've ever said. No, you know what? No, don't, not in a negative way. Because honestly, that was a very comfortable, delightful smell. And I would definitely do that again.
You know what? Sometimes
you
just gotta pamper yourself sometimes.
Hey, you know what? Give me a bath bomb and give me a nice, good scrub brush and just the most insane bubbles you've ever seen, and I'm
Heck yeah.
I am all about that.
Heck yeah.
You know what? With some candles and some light jazz. Oh, it sounds relaxing.
I miss
We're
living
going
in
somewhere
places
else.
with, yeah, I miss living in places with bathtubs rather than showers. I want the bath bomb.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe
Before
that
we
could
go into
change.
a tangent here.
Perhaps that could change.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. What do you do when you feel wrong about something but don't like to talk about it with anyone?
Okay, repeat that one more time.
Yeah. What do you do when you feel wrong about something but don't like to talk about it with anyone?
Well, that's
What?
well, that's repression and guilt. And what do you do? I would say if you feel you can't confide in anyone, then at the very least write yourself a journal or a digital email to yourself or something. Write down the thoughts at the very least, because that way it feels like you half communicated something to someone, and that sometimes can alleviate pressure felt. But I would strongly encourage any person who, if this is a routine problem, you need to find a confidant. You need to find someone that you can trust, that you can confide in, that isn't going to manipulate you or use this information against you in some way, but is someone you can share private, intimate thoughts with, because I think it's really important in any relationship, in any friendship, in any circumstance period for anybody to be able to share all aspects of their life, and often not with the same person. I mean, like an example that I know is that there's a situation that happens often in couples that have been together for a long period of time where you can't share everything with them. I think men fall in this category a lot more than women do, and I think it's because there's this masculine trait that's probably stupid that some guys have. I mean, I'll be honest, it's probably stupid, but to me, there's truth to it a little bit. Where if a guy says that there's a problem, or if he's worried about finances, and he says that to the woman he's with, that woman is going to be insecure and either loses attraction for him or uses it as a pretense to dissolve a relationship. And even if that's not the case, a guy might think that's the case and fear that, and so that fear is enough to prevent that guy from doing anything about it anyway.
Fear can do a lot to a person.
Yeah, I would say that's probably like the number two thing that most people have as a problem. It's just fear in general. But I definitely think that like being able to talk to people, being able to share your thoughts is critical. So, if this is a short-term 1-2 time problem, journal, self-email, definitely helpful. Or another thing you could do is you get like a paintbrush, write down the thing on the paint with the paint, right? And then draw or paint over the thing,
Oh yeah,
some
that's
piece
a
of
good
art.
one.
And so that way you have expressed it, and there's a way that you can visualize it, but it's under layers, so it's like it doesn't have to be shared. It's like a secret. So
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with those. Writing it down. If you can't speak it to anybody, just writing it down will get some of the expression out there. It's not cooped up in your brain with nowhere to go. That will explode sooner or later. Hope, depending on your situation, one might be better than the other. The creative outlets especially, there have been plenty of stories that I've read where somebody was just trying to, well, it was a tag that the author was just trying to project a certain situation onto the story or coping mechanisms. So creative outlets such as the painting or even writing, other things like that where you can get all the emotion out there without having to say anything in particular. But again, also depending on the situation, if it's you feel wrong about something, like say you're in a situation that just continually feels wrong, if you've got the option, get the heck out. If you've got the option, potentially.
Well, I don't think that's necessarily the case.
It depends on the type of wrong situation.
Well, I think wrong about something isn't a situation. It's more like I get an example, right? Like, okay, so let's say like you went to the grocery store and you stole a piece of candy and you didn't tell anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, when I read that, that's what I read. I mean, what do you read when you're reading?
I read, you feel that something's about to go wrong, whether it be like, extreme example is you're in a relationship that's starting to become on the abusive side. That, again, extreme example.
Okay.
So I'm for once thinking on the extreme end of things.
Role reversal, I like it.
Hey. So yeah, it's just like the whole stealing from a candy store. You feel wrong about something. You might not want to get the heck out because that might cause a lot of more trouble for you. But like a relationship that could potentially turn abusive and it's starting to show all the signs, get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah, I mean that's good advice, I think. But I think that like when it comes to relationships on an extreme side, when it comes to this, is that there's probably there's like a whole host of red flags that lead up to something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So it's like, hopefully you'd be able to get out in time. If not, get out as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Especially with the whole confidant thing.
Mm-hmm.
Find somebody you trust, not going to say anything. Heck, even a confidant that's just there to listen can sometimes work. Doesn't have to say anything, doesn't even have to do anything.
Confidant is technically someone who doesn't say anything.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. They're like
some people want the confidants that actually talk.
I guess. I mean, like, there's like, I can imagine like the Catholic priest, you know? It's like, I know everyone's dirty laundry. I know everyone's dirty. I know what you did.
Those types of people are kind of funny to watch in fictional stories too.
Oh boy. We're going to start a book. It's going to be called the Fantasy of What the Fuck and our characters.
Next one?
Sure.
Alright, I sound like a freaking witch when I cackle here. Anyway.
Okay.
Oh, what condiment is the best? Oh my.
Okay, alright, so I guess it depends on what you call a condiment, but I have two.
Okay, go for it.
So my first one is fudge. Because who doesn't like chocolate on literally everything?
Heck yeah.
Alright, and I'm going to say the second one is guacamole.
Ah.
Who doesn't like guac? Guacamole. Mole.
For me, one of my favorites, again, also matching with the chocolate, because I like chocolate.
Okay, alright. Okay.
The other one, I use a lot of soy sauce.
Of course you do. Of course it's soy sauce. Of course.
The soy sauce, although there is such a thing as too much soy sauce. There was this one time I was at work in a kitchen, and we were having chicken and rice for lunch. It was always some form of chicken and rice, with a couple of exceptions here and there. I was pouring a tiny tad bit of soy sauce, just a tiny tad bit. Somebody knocked my elbow, and I poured like a puddle.
Oh boy.
And I'm just like, that's too much now. I can't salvage that. I am sad.
Shocking.
But yeah, it was just like, yeah, there is such a thing as too much. Yeah. Next one?
Sure.
Bonk, bonk, bink. Alright. How does a big problem turn into a small problem? Mentally, that is.
Oh, God. I feel like I deer in the headlights, like...
Do you turn the wheel and go to a ditch, or do you just crash it?
No, never. You stop. Laura cannot die. I think that the truth is that understanding that all big problems start as a small problem, and so tackling your big problem in small increments and working on it until it becomes a small problem probably is the way in which a big problem becomes a small problem. But it does take time, and it does take a lot of mental strength. So,
oh yeah.
And you gotta be almost stubborn with your dedication to tackling those issues. Otherwise, they just continue to bloom outwards. So.
Especially if it happens to be one of those issues that, while you're solving it, will reveal other issues.
Yeah.
Gosh, those are the worst.
Those are really bad.
Those are the worst.
Like,
they're just annoying to deal with. Like, you gotta deal with them at some point, but like, they're so annoying.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's like cleaning your room and you realize there's way more crap than you can handle.
Interesting. I wonder if someone's speaking from personal experience.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The last 3 days have been spent like a good 15 hours just cleaning my room.
It's okay. The closet is imminently, like, I'm going to be exactly where you are in like 2 weeks with the closet. It's going to be.
Oh my gosh, no.
It's going to be.
It's kind of like. Yeah.
I'm gonna
like,
ask your help, by the way, just so you know.
Okay,
that.
yeah, fine. It's like, not to turn this into a joking matter, but sometimes it's a fitting simile, metaphor, whatever. You just gotta tackle it one tiny thing at a time, even if it's just pinpointing certain things and going, frick it, you're going down first.
Yeah. I mean, eventually, everything, if you work on it hard enough, it will eventually go down to something small or actually even go away, so. How many more questions are we at, just out of curiosity? Oh, wow. Okay, gotcha. All right.
Yeah, and...
We're gonna try and get through them, but in 5 minutes, it's called lightning round.
Yeah, lightning round. Speaking of
round.
lightning round, is there such a thing as too many donuts?
Yes.
Yeah, God.
Yeah.
I forgot to find that one possum that broke into a bakery and like ate itself to the point where it could not move.
Oh my god.
It was found in a box of pastries, and its stomach was absolutely phenomenally fat.
See, here's the thing when it comes to donuts, right? Like there are donuts. Everyone's thinking, oh, it's a donut. It's like this big, you know. It's a ring or something, or it's like, or it's a bar, you know. It's like this. Yeah, there's a place in Texas that sells a donut that's like the size of like a car tire, and you're like, I'm gonna get a dozen donuts, and you're like, that sounds like a plan, and then you get a dozen of those. It's called you just died of diabetes twice.
I'm feeling sick now thinking about it. God damn.
You're like, oh, that's too many donuts. It's like, I don't want to see a donut for a while.
I don't want to see a donut for a while. Moving on. All right. What are some practical, in the moment type of things that you can do to handle negative thoughts?
Okay, all right. I'm gonna say this from the guy perspective. All right.
Okay.
This is gonna be a little lewd, perhaps a little wrong,
Okay.
but it is very effective.
Okay.
If you're having a really bad thought, right, really negative thought, and you're just like, and it's dragging you down, you know, it's disrupting your day. Imagine the hottest chick you've ever seen naked. All right? Problem solved. I mean, in all honesty, like, actually try that, and like, you'd be surprised how many negative thoughts immediately are alleviated by that.
All right.
But you know, in if that doesn't work, or if you're not a guy, or you're not a guy who finds that stimulating, then the other way in which you can maintain negative thoughts is by doing some practical breathing exercises. Sometimes by breathing, you can actually affect the beating of your heart, and that actually can have a calming effect, which can cause you to process certain thoughts slower and regulate certain moods, you say, and maybe those negative thoughts won't be as powerful in your life, in the moment at the very least.
Okay. Let's see, we're coming up on. If I had to put it into a list, you could do some of the things we've mentioned before, such as writing things down, sending a self-email, talking to somebody, or a creative outlet such as writing or painting, or if you have the materials on hand. You can also do other things such as, well, really anything that'll get your mind off of it, even temporarily, such as, like you mentioned, the breathing exercises, meditation exercises, going for walks, going for a quick drive, cooking sometimes, or even just playing music pretty darn loudly that you can focus on, whether that be calming music or party music, or just some form of music that you enjoy a lot in the more positive thing that you're able to focus on and essentially turn those negative thoughts into essential white noise, even if only temporarily.
Kyle is 100% right, by the way, with his comment.
Let's see. Another way to beat negative thoughts I learned in therapy: say stop in your mind.
That can sometimes be enough to actually just straight up cause the negative thoughts to just stop in their place. Because there is a party that's going to be perpetuating these thoughts, and if you have some sort of cue that says don't, then it can help.
Another way that I've read on another Tumblr post. I find a lot of Tumblr posts.
What you do?
Another one that I found was if some negative thoughts, what some people do is actually give them to a funny voice that they can essentially like kind of interact with and ignore.
Oh wow, yeah, I totally do that. Thank you, Dad.
What was the example they gave? It's like, oh, what are you doing? That like something being negative about something you've done, and it's just like, yeah, I get it. It's like, yeah, I get it. You can just stop, you know.
Yeah, or you're like, oh, stop it! Just stop doing that. Stop it. Or another one is like, you know, but you can just put it away. You know, you can let it go. Drop it and do that.
I know that some people often attach the negative thought to like this is gonna be bad to say. You know, the stereotypical Karen voice, and it's just like, okay, you can just shut up now. Like the stereotypical one.
Oh,
so
stereotypical. She's saying there's Karens out there, people. She's promoting a stereotype. I want that to be understood and heard by everyone. We have evidence and proof now. It's being recorded.
Oh, like you haven't. Anyway, that's good. But those are just some of the more practical things.
Yeah, you're 100% right, by the way. Absolutely, when it comes to those things.
Oops. Yeah, I thought we were done.
Oh, well, I mean, we kind of were, but I mean, I just wanted to say that, you know, you're 100% right. I didn't want to attack your credibility.
No, don't worry. I'll do that myself with the amount of meows I do.
Oh my gosh.
Ooh, favorite color.
Green. Followed by blue.
I'm a sucker for it.
Midnight blue?
Midnight blue. I'm a sucker for that color.
Okay, cool. I know what I'm getting.
God dang it. Not again.
Yeah! We're still like,
God dang
we're
it.
gonna make it a note. We're gonna make it a note.
Ugh. Okay, just to make things easier for you, I am a absolute freaking whore for midnight themed crap.
Midnight pink?
Midnight theme.
Midnight theme things. Okay, excellent. I will making a note.
Just to make things easier for you later.
Midnight theme. Okay. Got it.
But you like green and blue?
Oh yeah, 100%. I like
green and blue like separately or like together, kind of like a marine theme.
I like them separately and together. Like I like my favorite color, like ever since I was like early as I can remember, is green, and I associate the color green with life. And I really like life. You know, I mean, like if I had like my choice of how I'd want to decorate my living place, I would have so many green plants everywhere. Like I just love that particular kind of like theme. I also like water. So like if I had a place, I would have like, you know, basically my house would look like a giant Zen garden in the center.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, all right, so we have now entered lightning round!
This was a terrible question to start it.
Okay, we're doing it.
What causes executive dysfunction and what are some practical ways to overcome it? God dang it, why?
Okay, lightning round. Lightning round.
Isn't it like damage to the frontal lobe from what I remember of my research?
That is correct.
One of them, right?
Okay, yeah, so basically there's multiple ways in which this particular thing can happen. I'm going to say this really, really fast. So
feel free to slow down the video once this thing is published.
Yes, feel free to slow it down. But it damages the frontal lobe as well as medications can cause damage, neurological effects that cannot be reversed. Ways in which you can overcome it is by performing routine tasks fairly regularly and finding ways of developing motor function. Like kind of think of it like muscle memory. That's really the only thing that's ever shown to actually be effective in being able to overcome this in any real way. But it is a permanent thing, and unfortunately many people really struggle with this throughout their whole life. So that is the lightning round answer. If you want to know more, email us.
Bunk, 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 bunk. What is your favorite video game genre and why? Oh god, why the why?
Oh my god. You go first.
I like resource management games, Minecraft, Stardew Valley, Rune Factory, da-da-da. And the reason I like it is just because it's more organized, it's more methodical, and sometimes I'm in the mood for those games. Minecraft specifically, it's very, very mindless unless you have somebody that starts a raid every 5 minutes. Those people just want to ruin the world.
Okay. I would say FPS and Metrovania.
Ooh.
Shocker, right? Shocking. All right. So, and the reason why I like those two games are because one, I have played Metroidvania style games for forever because I started with platformers when I was a kid, and I just got better and better at those things. And then dungeon crawling started being a thing, and to kind of combine platforming and yada yada. And first-person shooter because I like to talk to people and have fun, and that seems to be where I find a lot of people to talk to. So I appreciate people who are my friends online, even though you're not technically really my friends, but you are my friends sort of. So thank you for that. And by the way, all of you guys in the chat, you're all my friends, maybe.
All right. Funk. Why does laying down on the floor seem to solve everything? Sometimes you just gotta be a cat and say fuck the world.
Yeah, I like that answer. But the other answer is that it helps to regulate blood pressure.
Ah, so that's the official answer. That's the legitimate answer, not the F everything answer.
Yeah, it just causes regulation of blood pressure because it causes the heart to basically slow down, and it goes into an easier rhythmic.
Some people have got dang nice carpets too.
Yeah, fluffy.
Yeah. Alright. Funk. What are the perfect characteristics that you look for in a dog? Oh gosh.
Oh my god. Okay, so imagine, a husky, and then
baby.
and then make it larger. Okay.
Uh-oh.
And now it's an Alaskan Malamute, right? But it's an Alaskan Malamute that has the nobility of we'll say a sheep herding dog, okay? Like a little kind of thing. But it has the adorable, will follow and love you forever like a golden retriever. That is my perfect dog.
Fluffy cuddle dog for me.
Yeah.
Funk. What are some techniques to help you stop absorbing other people's emotions? Jesus Christ.
This is difficult for lightning round.
Yeah. We should organize these things because we thought we had more time.
Soon we're going to have to add a veto button.
Yeah. Oh, God. Alright, what are some techniques to help you stop absorbing other people's emotions? I mean, one of them sounds like you could, like, one of the way you can potentially deal with negative thoughts by just going stop. For me, either focus on something else or be a cat and say fuck it.
Well, I will say that my response to this particular question is there isn't one. I mean, honestly, like, if you're a person who feels like you absorb emotions, then there's probably some things that you need to work out, honestly, because people don't really absorb emotions, they more imitate emotions, and some people imitate a room. So if a room of people is feeling a certain way, they sometimes will mimic what the people in that room are doing. And so in that way they're imitating the situation. And so if that's what you mean by absorption, then simply be self-aware and not imitate the room.
Be aware of who you are.
Yeah, I mean, I think having a strong idea of self, and that would really just help alleviate that whole thing.
Again, if you want more info about any of these lightning round questions, email the show.
Indeed.
Sorry for going overtime, folks. Thank you for staying with.
Yeah, we'll be staying overtime. It's overtime!
God! What are some practical filters for choosing thoughts and feelings to focus on? I'm not saying God because I hate the question. These are really interesting, but I don't like the fact that we put these in the lightning round section.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, man.
Alright, what are some practical filters for choosing thoughts and feelings to focus on? I guess it's a form of compartmentalizing? I don't know how to pronounce that.
Compartmentalization is what you're referring to.
Repeat that one more time.
Compartmentalization.
Compartmentalization. Thank you.
Okay, and
I've always read that word, but I've never had to pronounce that word.
Yes, and the way in which that's particularly done is by being able to associate certain emotions with certain thoughts and being able to put them into categories. This is something that some people find incredibly difficult, and it's something that I do not believe every person is actually capable of. Like,
Fair.
To me, like, to borrow a Star Trek term, it's the Vulcan, ideology of being able to have such, control over your emotions that you can mentally sort them out. I think some people definitely have this ability, and I think that it's a cultural thing. But I think that's how someone could be really good at it. but I don't think it's a thing for every person. I think it's very much, here, yeah, maybe not. So
it depends on your capabilities of doing so.
yeah, if you wanted to practice this, I would start off with one emotion at a time, and basically think of a situation that makes you feel a certain way, and then single out an exact emotion about that situation and feeling, and choose to focus on just that. And then that way you kind of have the whole color palette of how you might feel, from happy to sad. And then from there you can kind of build kind of a lattice work mentally of where you're placing things, and that might be a way you could filter it. But honestly, that's a mental gymnastics right there, and I don't think everyone's going to be good on that. And another thing you might want to read is, this is going to sound strange, but if you read some of the behavioral psychologists' writings, particularly Skinner, he talks a lot about certain, we'll say, rules and actions that are found in behavior. And those particular behaviors might be able to give you cues as to when you could create the circumstances by which you splinter the emotions and feelings.
Okay. Sorry, this just reminds me of a girl who ended up Pavloving herself.
What?
Essentially had a clicker for whenever they had a happy thought. Whenever they had a happy thought, hit the clicker.
Oh boy.
And then one of the classmates was hearing the clicker, and she's like, it's like, here's the clicker. It's like, oh, they had a happy thought. Or, do it enough times, you just click, and, oh, hey, that's associated with happy. It's like, did that girl just Pavlov herself?
Oh my god, can you imagine if you start hearing the click? She goes into a room and she's in there for for a while, and you start hearing the button getting clicked a lot of times in a row.
This is like,
it's like, what's going on in that room?
God, no. Anyway, how many more?
Let's see where we get to in the next 10 minutes.
Okay. Alright. If you could pick any non-tropical place to retire to, where would it be and why? Non-tropical, huh?
Non-tropical. Oh my god.
Non-tropical. I can't name a specific location, but I think I would like either a lake area or a foresty area.
I think I'd choose South Lake Tahoe.
Ooh.
Because actually, it's kind of exactly what you just described.
Okay,
it's a lake and forest. I would want to live
I
like
love
in a house that's surrounded by trees, and the back of the house exits into a lake.
Little cottage in the woods.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm
Not the
talking
cabin
about.
in the not the cabin.
No,
in the
not a
woods.
cabin in the woods. Like Jesus, like no.
Alright. Bunk. If you had unlimited money, what invention would you create with that money?
You go first.
Oh gosh.
Watch you steal mine.
Smell or taste a vision for YouTube.
Okay, thank God. Ooh, dodged a bullet there.
What were you thinking?
Unlimited energy. Unlimited money? Oh my God. Unlimited energy, of course.
Yeah, that would be great.
With unlimited energy, you could build all sorts of crazy shit, from, star drives to never have to destroy the climate ever again.
Dude, if we're talking unlimited energy, I'd love those solar power sails from Treasure Planet, the movie.
Oh yeah,
those
that
things
would be awesome.
Be so cool. Anyway,
I'd want one.
If you could have any real living animal as a pet, what would they be? Absolute pet behavior. They're not gonna kill you, but pet behavior.
Polar bear. 1000% polar bear.
Polar bear?
All the way polar bear. And if I couldn't have a polar bear, it would be a what's it called? Those foxes, the snow foxes, the ones that are Arctic fox, an Arctic fox.
Those are so cute. I love them. There's this video about a little Arctic fox stealing fish from a fisherman, and it's adorable. If I had to choose a separate one, I'd love to go with an otter.
Otters are adorable.
They are actually legal in a couple of states as long as you get them in pairs, because they are very social creatures.
Oh my God, I want some.
One of them is New York.
Some. We should 1000% get some.
One of them is in New York. Anyway, what is your favorite shape of a swimming pool? Jesus.
What? What?
I guess if I had to pick one, I guess I'd choose like a really large rectangle or like this weird oval so you could just go circles around it.
I would want like a lazy lagoon, you know? So,
Oh, that'd be fun.
Like kind of like they have like over at
Sunsplash?
Sunsplash, yeah, where you just kind of just get carried around.
Oh yeah, that one's fun.
Yeah, that's what I would want. Like, I'm like, that's the pool shape for me.
It's an O.
It's a big O.
A big O.
But it's gotta be wide, you know. It's gotta be a wide O. It can't be just like a little narrow O. It's gotta be a wide O.
It's a donut.
Oh god, it is a donut.
It's a donut. Alright, what video game is Rose going to force Justin to stream with her? I don't know, Minecraft, Stardew Valley?
Do I have a choice?
I mean, you could just say no, man.
Minecraft.
Ah, okay. If I had, but that's like multiplayer. If I had to get you one, I think one of my favorites would be Rune Factory 4.
Rune Factory 4?
Mhm.
Okay. You know I can't say no to you. It's like, it's impossible.
Can you describe what dark matter is? No, but I'd like to. Help me, please.
Okay. Alright, so... How far down the rabbit hole do I go?
Are you able to describe it in like basic terms, or is it going to get really jargony real quick?
Well, let's put it this way. Neil deGrasse Tyson can't describe it. So
Oh.
I'll put it that way. Like, so I'm a huge fan of astronomy, and there was a point in my life where I wanted to be a physicist, an astrophysicist, and so what I would say is that dark matter, best guess of dark matter, is it's an error. It's an error in the math. Essentially, dark matter describes a specific. What are you doing?
Keep going. I'm just checking out the next ones.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, dark matter essentially describes a specific amount of material that's supposed to exist in the universe. When you take into account everything, it's like it's supposed to be there as a balancing measure. Because if that wasn't there, then it means that our understanding of the laws of physics and of gravitation are flawed and broken, which I believe is the actual truth. I don't think gravity is an actual force at all. I think it's a property of space that is inherent to space, not to attraction of multiple forces coming together. And because of this particular thing, I think this is why the mathematics that describes what dark matter is completely flawed. And it's not actually a thing. It's kind of like similar to the ether. If people are familiar with the concept of the ether, it was this invisible force that was supposed to allow for material to travel in space, in the vacuum of space. But later it was found out not to exist. It was just a fictional thing that people made up to try and explain the universe easier. But yeah, that's what I think dark matter is. I think it's an error in the mathematics.
Do you think that's a good ending point? Here, let me.
No, I really want to get to question at least 38.
Okay.
Yeah, at least 38.
So, 2 more?
2 more.
Okay. Alright. How do you think a couple who has been married 30 plus years reignites the fire in their relationship?
Okay. Well, this is a pretty interesting question. Clearly, if you've been in a relationship for 30 plus years, you have a really strong bond. If the fire is out, then I think that the best chance is to try and do the things that you did in the beginning of the relationship to reignite it. Another thing that I think is kind of helpful to understand is that maybe a relationship doesn't need to necessarily be reignited. I mean, it's not that the relationship would go away if it wasn't reignited. It's just like you guys have changed as people from when you first began, and that changes essentially affect the way in which your interactions happen. Maybe the interactions that created the fire in the first place aren't possible anymore for a multitude of reasons, and maybe that's okay. I mean, it doesn't, like, you don't have to have. I think media, particularly social media, propagates this notation or this idea that every single relationship must always be the best. You have to have that movie, romantic comedy movie ending. You know, you have to have the constant happiness. And what I think a lot of people, don't take into consideration when they see those things is that that's fiction. And so, I would say if you're dead set on trying to reignite the relationship, the best thing to do is first to communicate to your partner what you feel to be the thing that's not making it not ignited right now, and then listen to what they have to say, and see what things they might suggest, and then try it. And then I think being an attentive partner, and continually asking and evolving and doing the things that are necessary could reignite a relationship that way. Also, I mean, I know some women like little treats, like little reminders, things like that. Maybe a love poem here and there, just totally out of the blue. Those really go a long way at signaling to your partner that you really care about them, and that could be something that could also help in that particular regard. Do you have any thoughts on this?
And let's see. I definitely agree with whole communication, because sometimes, as much as you want to do something out of the blue, depending on the person, if you do something out of the blue, they might think something's up. And whether that's a good or bad thing, you don't know.
That's true.
So, clear communication, make sure they understand exactly what you're doing. But I definitely can see why the little reminders do help, no matter who does it, because who doesn't want to be reminded that they're loved by their significant other,
Mm-hmm. Or just
It definitely
by people in general.
Yeah, in general, yeah. Like little cute things like that. Quick communication, little reminders that you're being loved. Even, like, the whole reigniting the fire in the relationship, like you mentioned before, it's not something that's also necessary. Some people are just content with just the calming of the relationship, because that means you've settled to the point where you're part of each other's lives and you know that for a fact. Sometimes some people are just content with that and just keep going like that because they don't feel the need to. So, I don't know if I like, half the things I say don't make sense to my mind after I say them.
No, they make perfect sense. Perfect sense.
It's like my mind is just a jumbled mess of words that somehow escape my mouth in a sentence. Alright.
Like, quick.
Quickly, fish it out! Okay, last one for now. If we haven't gotten to your question, we're going to save it for the next Q&A, but if you really want it answered, email us again. Mm-hmm. Alright, should we have open borders? That's a one to end it on.
Okay, so, I think this is a difficult question to ask because I think it has a whole bunch of different things that are problems. But I'm going to say this from the perspective of humanity as a whole. Mm-hmm. I think yes. Mm-hmm. I think the idea that people are going to travel hundreds, if not thousands of miles to abuse resources that they may or may not get is a risk that only the most desperate would ever consider. And I think that the people who are the most desperate should be able to take it, like those particular resources, because that's what allows them to survive. And if the end goal of every person is to do better than they were before, than the people that came before them, then we need to open up our borders and share resources. And I think it needs to be across the board. I can understand why people wouldn't want that, because it creates a vulnerability and also a whole host of other issues that are huge issues that would be required to really resolve if we were to do this. But I think that it's if you put in a Herculean effort, you get a Herculean reward.
Yeah.
And I think that the reward of having our borders open would only allow our economy, it would take a huge dip and then it would spike up, I think, fairly like easily, because we'd have a huge labor force available to us. And I think that that's one of the things that people miss when they don't calculate when it comes to immigration in the U.S. is that a huge reason why the U.S. hasn't like fallen apart is because we're constantly taking in new immigrants and adding them to our workforce. If we didn't take in immigrants, then we would have a huge problem right now when it comes to getting certain things done, like who mows your lawn. You know, do you know how many doctors and nurses we literally, you know, hijack from like the Philippines? You know, it's like who's gonna, you know, fill your medicine? You know, what pharmacists? You know, it's like there are a lot of positions that people don't recognize that are taken by immigrants that really aid the way in which the country runs. So, having an open border policy would, I think, behoove the nation more than it hurts it, but it does have a lot of problems.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely see how it causes problems. I liken this to kind of like having open communication in a relationship, just on a larger, more grand, and more potentially problematic scale. Because people who are able to clearly communicate to each other have better relationships because they know exactly what each other wants, and they're able to clearly they are more able to help the other person with their goals.
Yeah, facilitate their needs.
Yeah, to facilitate their needs because they know what they want, they know what they're doing. There's no shadowy business in the sidelines, hopefully. So that's what I liken this to, the whole should we have open borders. I also agree that yes, it would be probably better for the world if we're actually all able to, you know, get along and work together, but like I've joked around before, humanity can be freaking terrible.
Definitely.
But I feel like a lot of that is, I feel like one of the reasons, I don't know if it's the main reason, I wouldn't be shocked if it was, but I don't expect it to be, is that we are very closed in what we believe to be true and what we believe to be right in a lot of different cultures. Like, there are some universal ones, but then there are some that are very specific to certain regions. So it's like being open, being communicative, able to have that conversation to be able to compromise things, I think would work out for a lot of people to kind of better situations, I think.
Okay.
At least that's my thought on it.
All right. I mean, hey, makes sense to me at the end of the day. I mean, you're having more people have a better outcome overall is probably the goal of any place, anywhere. Because who wants to be the bad guy turning people who are in need away?
You would think.
All right. Well, that'll be that's the last question. Before you guys go, I want you guys to make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you like the content. And we'll be having a great episode on Saturday talking about music. So I hope to see you guys all there. Hope you had a great evening, and we'll see you in the next one. Later.
We bid you adieu.